Saida Thenhart practices alternative, holistic psychotherapy in ways that humanize and care for the individual. Saida has trained in CBT and DBR and has a holistic nutritionist, alternative, and holistic psychotherapist. She strives to constantly educate herself in diverse schools and sciences to better herself and the people she works with. Saida aims to change the way we view psychotherapy by enabling people to lead the life they want, instead of labeling someone as sick. Today, she will be covering how sound therapy can be used for emotional trauma and its benefits on the human body. Welcome, Saida Thenhart.
As Jeff already said, everything is true, he said. And I have in Germany, I don't know if you know, it's already, a little past 8 o'clock in the evening. And I shoot through because I've spent the day with people who are seeking help mentally and emotionally, because I work as a holistic practitioner for specifically for psychotherapy. And my office is in a castle. And I came back after work. I went home real quick just to get my laptop, which was poor organization, to come back to be here in the castle for you. So at least you get to see a little bit, if not all of me over there. And I would like to participate in your retreat and in this important meeting because it's very futuristic today. Because the psychotherapy and sound is one important aspect, at least over here in Germany, that is not yet very popular. There's who of you has any knowledge regarding psychotherapy and the use of sound already? Raise your hand so I can see. Okay. The two of you, yes, great. Okay, well, because for me it was a little difficult to see where we would start from, and I personally think I will go without any PowerPoint. Why is that? Because I did not prepare one. Because I think it's more interesting for you guys, from what I know from Jeff, to hear real life stories and the applied cases and what you can expect from it. Who I am, you already know. Yes, of course. I have papers here so I don't forget anything, because this is very meaningful to provide you the best of information. So what do I do and why do I do it? I've heard that a lot of you come from the background of nutrition. Is that right? Yes. Who's nutritionist already? And who is just eating? Yes. Wow. Okay. So it's been 12 years that I've been into nutrition. And that was probably the entry point, because I understood that nutrition is everything. And that can be expanded to nutrition for the body, for the mind, and for the soul, right? We all know that. And we have to be careful what we take into our system on all those levels. So coming from competitive sports as well, I was eager to expand my knowledge. And it occurred to me, I don't even remember how, that I got very interested in psychotherapy. And so I subscribed to school and went to school and did several different types of apprenticeships to have a nice little box of tools that I could use with people. And so I worked, this is the 5th year in my own office now. I was part of another office for some years too. And which was, interestingly, not for psychotherapy, but for osteopathy and how do you call it? Physician, right. That was super cool, because I was able to also get some more connections on the mind-body system, right? And then I really, the entire day today, I thought about, how did I end up with sound? Not lying, I don't have an idea till now. I don't remember. And those are usually the paths that someone needs to walk. You might know this. And I see it as a duty for all of us who've discovered sound to distribute this knowledge to people, to make it available. And especially because it's so powerful. So this is also why I do it. In psychotherapy, what we think is, and what we know, that every system, every suffering, every illness has different causes. It's called multifactorial illness. So it's, you have the genes, you do have life events, you might have trauma, which is likely, everybody does kind of, right? Family related, and all those things, they come together, and either you're happy always, or, which is more likely, because everybody in their life will have that point where they could use some really good therapy or somebody who can help you live better. And also, this means that the way I have to meet someone is not only through language, but to, like, as many factors that lead to illness, it's better that I have a variety or a pool of tools that I could use with people on all levels, body-wise, which is nutrition, which is frequency, then mentally, which is thought and speech and words, and then on the soul level, which is a connection and a healing vibration that you can give out to people. And of course, God does his part sometimes too in the work, because I consider it sacred work. All of our work, by the way, yours as well, or even more than mine sometimes, right? Yeah. So what do? I have different types of clients that come here, which are, just to give you a brief overview. Oh, and also I apologize for possible language problems. I have been flying for Lufthansa for 8 years, and my English is quite good today. Sometimes it's a little bit rusty, so there might be some hesitation when I explain something, but I will try my best to make it sufficient. Can you hear me good? Yes.
Your English is better than our German.
Yay, 1 point for Germany, right? And then, okay, so where was I? What types of people come here? Yeah. So I do have, I cannot go too much into detail because we're not allowed to do so, but I do have the super busy businessman that doesn't even have a problem, but something is wrong or not entirely right. And they come to you. For instance, I will do different topics if that's fine and interesting for you. So I can always also give you the conclusion right away, what I did, why I did it, and how the impact will be. Yeah, so that businessman, for instance, he will come and he will be like, usually those are the people that come in super punctual. Their speed going into the office will be like this, and out like this. And then sometimes, like, some therapists will tell them, oh, you calm down, be calm. And I'm like, no. Especially at the beginning, you have to walk their speed, because otherwise you will not meet them. Otherwise you will run past them or behind them, like something like that. So I run with them, I observe them, I look what's really troubling them besides the problem that they might have. And my therapy doesn't start with listening only or asking questions. It starts, I look at the legs, I look at the arms, I look at the face, the structure, the chin, of course, to see, is there a lot of tension going on in the system? And if I see that, what I can do, if I'm a cool person, I can help the person to make therapy more accessible and easier, right? I don't have that person, I don't have to have him spend 20 minutes to even just arrive here. I can help with frequencies. For that purpose, what I do have here is, well, I will show you. I can make my own diagnostics, which is not typical in Germany, but I just wanted to do my own research and proper analysis of things. And I do have a heart rate monitor, which I'm going to switch on and off for the USA tonight. And so I can analyze that. And then what I would do with this client, for instance, is give him a chance to get into a system that I have here. It's called a brain light system. That is like, not like Dr. Jeff's sound table. It's more of a huge spaceship or space shuttle. Unfortunately, it's downstairs, so I cannot show you today. And you can make him sit inside, and it will put him into an like weightless position. And then he gets glasses and sound, which is together called a mind machine. So I have the chance to lower his speed mechanically like this. And then that saves him time and makes every word that I will say afterwards, between like 10, 20 minutes is completely fine. He can receive those words way better than it. Probably before that, he wouldn't even be able to grasp the thing I was saying because he would be so stressed. So that is the most simple way to apply different set of frequencies. In case of this man, it's usual, like also people that are close to a burnout, which does exist. It does exist, at least in link to brain waves, because that would be a person that is constantly on beta. Have you heard of the different brain frequencies? Who has? Raise your hand. Okay, good. Well, people stuck on a beta frequency, or mostly because you cannot just be on one, will have that appearance in their outer world. And it's a little bit like a car that you're driving, those people, those systems. And imagine you would be driving, the only chance to drive is in the 6th gear all the time. Now you in the States, as I know, mostly drive automatic, which is a cool advantage. But please just try to imagine you would have shift gear, and it would be the 2nd for in town, out of town, and when you're trying to sleep. So this is where the bridge is between only using words when somebody has a stressful life and helping them fluctuate in their brain frequencies again. And that's a different thing that I can do. Are you following me? Am I explaining it too quick? Okay. All right. Thanks. Okay. So another thing that you can do is when you, like, besides calming that person down momentarily, is helping their brain heal. So they have not, or they do not know how to switch back because maybe they're used to it. Maybe there's a deficiency in their nutrition, some micronutrient that they are not having, or even worse, they're on stimulants. They constantly drink coffee, energy drinks, or stuff like that. So you would need to remove those things from their life. You need to ask for them. And then you need to help their brain heal, which is also through giving them micronutrients, through have their blood diagnosed by a doctor. I cannot do that in Germany, it's not allowed, but I can look through the blood picture afterwards. And then I will see this, and then I will give them a frequency that helps their brain to recalibrate all the areas, like this way and this way, right? All the areas. So the brain starts functioning properly again and learns to use the other gears as well again. And that's when healing takes place on all levels. The person will be less stressed out. Only if a person is less stressed, I do have the chance to make deep emotional insights, which are happening on theta. That is why a lot of people are saying or practicing theta healing, is because it is very good for trauma work. Have you heard of that? Yes. Theta healing? Yep. Yeah, good. Okay. And then speaking of theta healing is super interesting because in Germany, it's a very popular thing to do right after human design and this and that. It's like a fashion thing to do. And I'm like, okay, well, who does have a lot of theta frequency in their EEG? If you would look at it, if you would scan it, who does have a lot of data? Do you know?
Children.
No? Jeff, do you know?
Children.
It's a lot of, oftentimes it's people with depression that have a lot of theta and delta. So super cool if somebody does not know what they're doing. They have a person, which of course they will not properly diagnose, but they do have a person with depression, and they will do theta work with them. Not the smartest thing to do, especially not if you're not knowing what you're doing. Is this so far interesting, or is it a boring German monologue that we're having? Yeah. Speaking of the devil, I think times are over where we can have those stuck up nose in German science and say, oh, we're so advanced. I don't think so. Actually, I'm a little bug with 37 years and I buy everything on my own. And I do everything of science on my own. Why? Because I want to be a pioneer to help people. And that's something that we need to know. And that's something, Jeff, that you're doing great, connecting people like us so we can join forces at least and build that strong network. Yeah, so let's see. I have something really beautiful to tell you. Does any one of you ever did anyone ever experience a panic attack?
Of course.
No shame. No shame. Yeah, it's common, and it's getting even more common. Part of it is because people don't know the definition of what it really is, and which they don't need to know. As soon as it feels like you're feeling like you're dying and it's getting out of control and you cannot trust your body anymore, that feeling, that is a panic attack. And in Germany, offices like mine, you have to pay private. I don't know how meanwhile the system works in the USA, in States, but so I'm very aspired to help people quickly so they do not have to spend so much money because they're just normal working people, right? If somebody has panic attacks and they come to my office, there's something, it's a little bit like magic, I have to say, and I love it. Guess what I do with them? One would expect that I would just talk with them, right, and see where the panic is coming from, maybe open up a can of worms right there, because sometimes the root cause is so sensitive that you really should not touch it for the first few sessions at all. Or they cannot talk about it, or they cannot even relate to it, to the cause. It's a lot, oftentimes it's like that. So when they come into the office, and if God is with them and gives them a chance to have a panic attack right here, what I do is I give them this. You see?
Yes.
What do you think this is doing?
Empowering them.
Empowering them.
Yeah, we have empowering them. I would say
Yes.
redirecting their focus.
Letting them
Mhm.
hear their heart too.
Yeah.
Yes. Nice. I love it. Yes, it's also empowering. When was the last time one of you guys heard your own heartbeat?
I do it all the time.
You do it all the time?
Yeah,
She's a nurse.
I do.
Ah, that's cool. So you listen to your own heartbeat?
I do. I have a son that is deaf, and we have a special set of headphones for him for a stethoscope. It's actually one that I bought by accident before he was even my stepson, actually. But when he started having anxiety attacks, which he has a lot of anxiety issues, I turned the volume all the way up on those, and I have him listen to his own heartbeat. I just did that.
This is, wow, I'm amazed. This is so beautiful.
Somebody had suggested it to us. That was one of his therapists back when he was like 8 years old. So
Yeah, who's a therapist?
No, it was something a therapist had suggested, was listening to heartbeat. So
Yeah. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord therapists over there will do this, because this is really the fastest thing. Besides bringing the person in contact, like physical, analog, hardcore contact with themselves. You can also, by the way, use it for the business client, but not in the first session. He will think you're a total creep. So anyway, yeah, you give him this. Or have false expectations. Okay, you do this, and you give him the stethoscope, and you will let them have a moment with their own heart. Who of you is using drums in their healing work? Anyone?
Drums. Who uses drums?
I do.
We have one.
Yeah. Wow, nice. And so, have you heard of coherence?
Coherence.
Coherence, I understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like the two tuning forks, for instance. And what I do with people is I make them, bringing them in contact with their own heartbeat, with their, like, hearing how powerful they are, and will make them feel protected, fully embodied. And yeah, so that's why I do it. It will bring them in coherence with their heart. And the heart, of course, has its own frequency, right? And frequency hurts the heart. Hertz is, by the way, Hertz in German. Heart and Hertz is the same thing here, like this heart. Yeah, so this is what you do if somebody has a panic attack, including yourself. It will work. And I will rent this. I will let this to people with panic attacks. They keep it in their bags. And like after a month, I get it back. And we discover, wow, now we're so feeling safe with ourselves. We can start working on different things, or the deeper things, because of course, all along we are working all the time. Yeah. So what else? I do have a lot of cases where I use this. Where does depression come from? Question for you guys. You know?
Lack of serotonin.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, that's the clinical.
Focusing on the past.
Well,
Stress.
oftentimes, pardon?
For self-respect.
Yeah, we just have low serotonin, focusing on the past, stress, and low self-acceptance.
Also, yeah, you're really, really good. Because the thing is, some people, or a lot of people still think that depression is something where you wake up in the morning and you feel like shit, or you don't feel anything at all. And probably it's because you're a loser, or I don't know, which is completely false. Because all too often, the reason will be somewhere in the brain or the body. Like body as the root cause of depression is very common. Other times, like it depends on what type of depression they do have, it will only be visible through the physical. It's called a large depression or conversion, or a depression with symptoms, with body symptoms, right? And then you will have to find out about this. Trauma, for instance, can lead to neurological or biochemical imbalances on the long run. Some might call it post-traumatic stress disorder, but really it's just a coming together of circumstances. Yeah, anyway, wherever the depression may come from, first you have to do the medical history to try to pinpoint it as good as possible. And then what you can do, depending on the root cause, is either help the brain recover, neutralize some parts of the brain, synchronize them again, or help, again, the gears and the shifts. When you're depressed, you're spending a lot of time on delta and theta. Where do you think, knowing the brain frequencies, does anxiety reside? Do you have an idea?
Beta.
Theta?
I said beta.
Also, it's like beta, that's very good. You will have a lot of irritability. Irritable? Amy, help me.
Irritability.
I can't tell.
Yes, something that I don't know because I'm never, which is not true. But yeah, that resides on beta. People who are afraid often, are they really afraid, or is it their brain making them feel afraid? And those are, I cannot tell you how important it is to know those things if you're working with people. Because if you don't know those things, you might treat them the wrong way, which will not lead to a long-term health on all levels, physical, mentally, and soul-wise. So,
You said anxiety was what though? The wave?
it's a lot of beta. It can be alpha. And then, have you heard of gamma?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is related a lot with, like, at least in the mainstream, it's related to meditation, to the classical story of the monks. And yeah, but also to anxiety. And for instance, I am myself, or I was an ADHD person. Never got the diagnosis, but when I went and like studied everything, I knew I'm typical ADHD. So if I listen, like I react a lot to too much theta or too much gamma, or gamma, as you call it in the States and in England. And if you let me listen to too much gamma till today, it will make me really agitated. It's too much. Have you tried any binaural beats or brainwave entrainment?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, how was that? Did you ever listen to a lot of gamma?
Yeah.
Can you digest it well brain-wise?
Oh yeah, it feels good.
Ha, interesting. Yeah, that helps you like to see what, of course you will probably not have ADHD. And then I would know about that by now. And then there's that type of frequency. And have you heard of solfeggio?
No.
Yeah. So let's say we always want to use full throttle of everything, right? Because we have that big toolkit of things. Somebody comes into the office after severe loss of a beloved one. And then, so they will be grieving. They will, of course, here, words are very powerful. A lot of times being silent together will be very powerful, but so will music and frequencies be. It will help them stimulate their brain, like digesting what's happening better. But here, it would be smart to infuse everything with solfeggios. Why? So who's heard of them? Jeff, you did, but who else? Yeah. Who does that hand belong to?
That's Tammy.
Hi. So, and for somebody grieving, you would probably use the 639 solfege added on or infused into the sound, because that's for the heart, right? And that would help them to relieve heaviness from their heart too. Yeah. And then what else? What else? I have so many cases, and now my brain is blank regarding this. Oh, questions for our doctors. The doctors, please listen. Dementia. Is dementia happening everywhere in the brain? But who said that? It might be right. Absolutely right. It's not, which is good. I don't know. How is it communicated in the States? Like, do they tell you it's everywhere? Like, when you hear, grandma has dementia, or sorry, somebody has dementia just starting. What do you think when you hear that? Is it like, what does it associate or in you guys?
They say like their brain's going.
Like,
you know?
It's just a symptom of getting old.
Yeah.
Well, and it's an accumulation of plaque, right?
Yeah, it seems like the whole brain though. We don't really talk about like regions going.
Yeah. Well, that's cool because neither do we. So nice. I wonder why. Is it? I can only speculate. I'm a little bit of a pioneer, and so I'm a rebel as well. So I'm cheeky enough to say that, I mean, you know, old people, why help them stay younger or anything? They're just old people. We all know that's not true, and every life, no matter what age, will be the same of value. So it's not the entire brain, it's just an area usually. So what do? We throw away the entire brain? No, we will help. We will try to reintegrate that part, reactivate it through what? Two things. Well, three. One of them is secret ingredient. What's the first thing we will do?
Frequencies.
Before that.
Nutrition.
We have nutrition.
Yes, nutrition. We need to fill up the tank, because if we have a rose that's standing in bad water, it does not matter if we play it a nice sound, it does not have the nutrients to help work with it, you know, it will just go like this. So micronutrients. Before that, medical history, diagnosis, check the family system to see what type of dementia it will be. And then, frequencies to reintegrate, to activate all brain areas. The coolest thing you can do with people is always help them to make their brain work like a 100-dimensional thing, like this way, and this way with the gear shift, right? So, and then what's the third ingredient? Third, by the way, in healing dementia.
Hearing the love.
Love.
Yay! Amazing. It's love. Old people still need to be part of our society. And that you do that by pretending you don't know how this works or that works or this and that. You just give them a reason to still be mentally available for us.
Huh.
Yeah. So much for dementia. You guys are good, I must say. Yeah. But I did not expect anything else, to be sincere. And then I told you about, like, who of you plays an instrument? What type of instrument?
Baritone sax, cello,
Piano, cello,
violin.
Wow.
baritone, saxophone, flute,
Drum.
drums, underwater.
So all of those, when you play them, what senses are stimulated?
Sound.
Vibration and sound.
The auditive?
I always take.
What do we have?
Vibration and sound.
Yeah. What I mean is we do have the eyes working, like we have to, or we're looking, we're seeing, we're feeling, we're touching, we're hearing, all those, like, it's all senses pretty much activated and used for this. That's why we also can experience, I don't want to say feel, but experience sound so nicely on all levels, on soul level even. And that brain light system that I have, why do I use it? What do you think? Like, it's that mind machine, it's like glasses. I brought my, like, it's like this, just a little bit smaller. So I do have this. I will have the headphones, and I will have that seat for them available that can do types of massage. It can do a type of embracing through air. It's very comforting. It can even shake you like a baby, like this, like cradle you. Why do I do that? What do you think?
To engage
It's
all
like
senses.
it's like the womb, someone said.
Yeah, also, I wish you could see that. If my laptop wasn't 300 years old, I would carry it downstairs to show you some other time. This thing might fall apart any second, so yeah, because I think it's a perfect thing to have people spend more time in therapy than they would need to. And the more senses I get to stimulate, the easier and more powerful it will be to make an impact. Yeah. Question, thought? And then also, so yeah, I think it's way more powerful, and that makes the time shorter. What do you think? Has one of you ever been to counseling or a therapist that wants to talk about? Yeah.
Okay, one time I went to, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
One time I went into a session to get Psyche done. Does anyone know Psyche? But before I did Psyche, I laid in one of AO's theta beds. So this company out here, Synergy, what are they called? Energy. They have this bed that you lay on it, and it's like a biomat, and then you're listening to binaural beats, and it's light therapy, and it spins you around, and I don't think they probably diffused essential oils or something, but the point of it is to get you in theta state. They call it the theta bed, don't they? So I did 30 minutes of that, and then went into a Psyche session. It was unreal. I walked out of there, and the brain waves I wanted to rewire were like completely rewired. I went out there, picked up my phone, made a phone call I had been putting off for a year, just made it with no effort. And it was huge. I felt like I could die of peace that night. I was literally if I died tonight, I wouldn't even be sad. I feel so peaceful right now. So anyway, that was my experience with activating that first. Did that count for your question?
That is so nice. It is so touching and beautiful how you're explaining, because thank you. That is something that's completely unpopular here. You will have to experience the depth. It has nothing to do with everything you know. It's the closest thing to, I think, where we come from, with this feeling of wholeness. And what I do with people is I help them also after talking in the counseling session, in the regular one. I help them transfer the what we talked about into everyday life by, at the end of the session, finishing with a theta, so it goes more into the subconscious. That's super easy. I will do the same thing before a trauma session. I don't just do them let's do a trauma session, but I have a lot of sessions before, so the trust is really deep. Also a therapist will always be a stranger first, right? So anyway, when they give me the sign, okay, I think I'm ready to have a deep healing trauma session, they which I smoked the entire office before, because it's sacred. That's really sacred. It's the human soul and God deciding if healing can take place in that moment. So I just do what I can to contribute. It's a little bit of helping somebody unbirth themselves again. So I will prior, they come into the sacred space, and which is very grounded still there anyway. They will go into the seating system, and they will enjoy some theta work, because it is, do you say hybris? Do you know the word hybris? It's arrogant to say to people, oh, you have to go into theta so we can do healing. Not everybody can do that. And you cannot be like this with people. So I help them do it. And then we have the trauma seating, and afterwards they will go back, which puts it in such a profound level that I'm hard to impress by what is possible. I am till this day impressed, because so much profound healing could take place so far this way. Yeah. And then there's something else that I do. Pretty much the last thing that I wanted to tell you guys. Is it boring yet for you, or is it okay still?
Good.
Great.
Are you learning?
Good.
Yes.
Okay, good. Because if not, then look at the recording later. So what I can also do is frequency vibration. solfeggio and frequency. And then I can do affirmations. Affirmations like frequencies infused with affirmations like that makes them travel, for instance, through their body, or that helps them, like affirmations that I can just use for the people. They will again be in that system, sitting in there, being cradled and getting talked to about while there is warmth in their back, because the system can also put warmth into the like body. It can heat up. So, and they're seeing those lights in the visual thing, and they hear sounds, and then somebody's telling them about self-love and cradles them and hums a song and something. That is such a different level than Instagramming, oh, you should love yourself taking a bath, which is not worth shit nowadays, as I think, you know. So that's another thing that so far I do. Now let me check all my papers if I have told you what I wanted to tell you. Aggressive, yes. Respect. Oh yeah. Oh. Especially nowadays, important. Have you had? I think you guys are all very advanced souls. Otherwise, you would probably not be here. So, advanced or not, have you experienced the Schumann resonance differences lately and the solar storms?
What's the
Schumann resonance is the 7.83 of the Earth.
Oh,
Yeah, and what was the last thing?
And what was the last time?
The solar storms, solar flares, and sunstorms, solar flares, and the Schumann resonance.
Yes.
The Schumann resonance, yeah?
Come in and hit the Earth. The Schumann resonance acts as a magnetic shield that diverts the toxic rays around the Earth.
Yeah.
If that resonance weren't there, we'd be burned to a crisp.
oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thanks. Some people are so overexcited when they come here. I love it. It's very cute because they think life has taught them that everybody they meet will have an expectation. As a therapist, you should not have expectations. Neither should it be your life task to save people. That's two things that you really should check yourself regularly, because that's not a good starting point. So anyway, when they come in, they think you would expect something from them, and they're super, well, I don't know, do I have to tell everything? Am I going to survive this because it's making me afraid maybe? So what do? I will let them listen to the Schumann resonance for 20 minutes straight. That is going to ground them like they've probably never been grounded. Like they will be absolute in equilibrium. And that's something, yeah, you can sit outside, be beyond the trees, of course, and stuff. But this is really mechanically telling your brain, woo, down to earth, Schumann resonance right there, everywhere around you. You have no other choice than calming down. Like to be calm down and grounded is two different things. But you know what I mean, right? Yeah. Anyway, this is everything I wanted to tell you for today. No PowerPoint, no preparations, just me doing this work, saying hi to the States.
So do we have any questions?
Wow. I have a question.
Yes.
For some people where they experience anxiety and depression, you know, so you said sometimes like if someone's experiencing depression, they already have enough or maybe too much theta. And if it's anxiety, then it's too much beta. What do you do for that if they're like opposite?
Bipolar.
Huh?
That's bipolar. So bipolar depression means extreme highs, extreme lows.
Yeah. Exactly. And also if like many people, that's a super good question. Thank you. And many people come with different things. Either, for instance, imagine you are afraid, and then you are more afraid, and then you discover that you're more and more afraid in things you do during everyday life. What does that do to you?
Puts you in fight or flight mode.
Yeah, well, that's the sympathetic and parasympathetic right there again. See, we didn't even talk about this today, but that's another story. No, it makes you depressed. It does make you depressed when you discover, shit, I cannot even go shopping because I'm scared and I don't understand myself. And then the other way around can be. So we always have to see, okay, like it's like a triage. What's most important right now? What do we have to do first? A lot of people will be depressed because they had, or they discovered or experienced trauma. Okay, what's the most important symptom to treat? It's just like with the body, same thing. Then you have people who are depressed and then develop anxiety because they have not been out at all and stuff like that. So you will always need to see the big picture and then decide where to start and what to do. You cannot always start with frequency. You can also not start with somebody who is afraid using things like this. Lord Jesus, don't do that. It will be too much. You have to be very sensitive. But I imagine all of you guys are sensitive enough anyway, because that's for people like us, it's easy to sense this difference. Also, it's a good thing. What I forgot to say was the perspective. How is this, all that we know, going to influence society? What can we do? And to be honest, I don't know. I hope really that there's a lot of people coming together, because it's exhausting to fight alone, to do all the science alone all the time, spend nights doing that. Maybe you know this. And so I don't know what the perspective is, but I keep on researching. And when we meet next time, I'm sure I will have new results ready. I hope so, at least.
Yeah.
I have a question. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, so you mentioned nutrition, frequencies, and love. Can you give us examples of nutrition and relate to depression, bipolar?
Yeah. Of course. So when I got you right, you're asking for the micronutrients regarding depression, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the simplest thing you would want to look up in the blood? Like what deficiencies? Do you have an idea?
Minerals.
Pardon?
Vitamins and minerals.
Yeah. Can you specify or?
Vitamin D, vitamin B.
Lithium.
Well, I'll tell you, because otherwise this is not going to be, this is not like in school, like I'm asking people out. But okay, what you would do is, or what I would suggest you doing is check their vitamin D, check their iron levels, check their selenium. Is it called selenium? Selenium. Yeah, also with the guys. No matter what mental illness you will encounter, what's the most important question you will ask regarding nutrition?
Gut health, my guess.
Amy, that is already one step ahead. Also, because it does not matter what we put in if it's not being, digested or yeah, thank you for the word. So ask them if they're vegan. Who of you is vegan? Oh, look at her. She is vegan. I know, that's fine. I'm just kidding. All right. That's something you need to check, because meanwhile, at least it is, they found out and they have officially announced that it is a predisposition for psychosis and depression. So those two things are more prone in people who have a vegan diet. Absolutely nothing, no problem with a vegan diet if you know how to do it, what micronutrients you need to be checked for. And it's not just vitamin B12, not at all. It is if people are mentally ill, I'd like to check for thiamine as well. So selenium, vitamin D, iron, like both. Then what else?
It's the amino acids, aminos,
Yeah.
missing from the
Yeah, that is so unpopular in Germany. Most of the doctors don't want to do that. Can you imagine? Well, in Germany, a lot of doctors will discuss every one of them, but yeah. And then, but it also does not mean that you can treat. I mean, you're not saying this, right? But it does not mean that you can recover from mental illness, from certain, or for depression or something, just by nutrition. We always want to give them everything that could help, or that is appropriate to help them support, because somebody has been depressed. Then you give them the nutrition, or the proper nutrition. Okay, what then? Do they just discover that they're healthy? No, it's going to be a process, and you will need to guide this process or go with them. Yeah, because what we want is people help themselves be strong, be independent, understand themselves better, and understand their mind-body complex better on the long run. That will make them so powerful.
Saida, could you discuss the new concept you have with your clinic, the Ad Astra thing?
Yes, that's you are genius, as usual. The thing is, I made my office was called Life Proof Therapy earlier, which is what you saw on the flyers as well. Meanwhile, it's called Ad Astra Lab, to be more accurate, Ad Astra Life Skills Lab. And why? Why? Because I really do believe that the problem we do have in society and in pretty much all countries, that people do not know the how anymore. They have stopped learning. How do I do things? How do I tell somebody what I need? How do I do whateverness? And that often leads to trouble, to unhappiness, to problems, and this and that. And yeah, I have a quite cheeky homepage. You might want to check for it whenever you are interested or have time. I think Google does a pretty well job translating the text. It explains a lot about or around it. Yes, do you have a question?
It's Google's okay, but it's not great.
It's raising, yes. It's because I was sick of people being suppressed or oppressed by leaving them in not knowing things, how to deal with life in general. And this is what I work with. And frequencies are really just one part of it. Yeah.
My question was practical. So like, how do you pick out, is there like a whole, I'm sure there's like science and training and a whole method of how you pick out beats for someone, but what is it like, in terms of practical applications of us working with clients, you know, and we're telling them like, you know, there's a bunch of beautiful binaural beats on YouTube and stuff like that. How do you figure out what frequencies to like basically prescribe someone?
By diagnosis, looking at like doing a proper medical history. And then also, that's super good, Amy, again, a genius question, because YouTube will not do. I think I brought especially, hold on, I'm under the table for a second. Yeah, it's right here. Because I spend time in my own frequency stuff, I always have this in my handbag. This is my boring old school cable. And this Sony headphone is able to transfer the spectrum of sounds that we need for binaural beats, for instance, to work. YouTube does not transfer the sound quality. It might have a fancy solfeggio party going on because it sounds nice. It does do good, of course. Also, will a nice drumming song do their work? But it will, like neurochemical and stuff, it will not be impactful, or even for the parasympathetic, it will not do. You will use this, and then you need high quality files, which you can buy, or yeah, that's the only thing you can do, or you can create them yourself. You can record them yourself for whoever plays instruments, which is quite a lot of work. And you can also not get them at, like, do you have Spotify?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are not the sources, even the high quality Spotify. And then please take care also always of the device you use. I bought my mobile after this purpose of it being able to deliver the sound. And then when you will need a proper app, which is the VLC player that will play the files. Everything else is nice, fine and dandy, but not as planned and thought through, like the carrier frequencies and stuff that you can use. And then if you want something for the heart, there's different providers. If you want more of solfeggio stuff that works differently. So you want to see whatever floats your boat. It's very interesting. Yeah. There was another important thing that came to my mind that I wanted to say regarding the quality of the sound. Oh well, it's late. It's after 9 in Germany.
Is there any other questions? I have one more question.
Any questions?
So like when it comes to diagnosis and like not diagnosis, but like figuring out what tunes would be good, will people know what tunes are good for them within a few seconds?
No, absolutely not. No.
Okay.
It's like somebody, I mean, we're advanced, right? But like, and what we know medical wise, but that's like somebody having a broken leg, knowing what cascade they need or something. That's also not their task. So we're differentiating between having nice music being played or having medical impactful sounds. Also, you have to understand that some sound, like the sounds that are impactful, are not really the ones you can listen, because they're not in the spectrum of being heard, like being the auditive. You know, like we have such a little spectrum of tones that we as humans can hear with our ears, and a lot of brainwave frequencies you cannot hear.
Yeah. Wow.
Makes sense. So anyway, guys,
Okay.
I would love to go home, eat dinner. Well, no, I would love to go home and cook dinner so I can finally eat some dinner.
Okay, well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
everything.
That was fantastic.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.